on the agenda. We currently have no citizens present in the room. I don't know if I can remember a select board meeting where we had nobody here. Maybe we should do Tuesdays more often. I don't mean that. We love having you here. We're here for you, so. Nothing from the select board on comments? Town manager?
I can wait until my report.
Okay. Moving right along. Review minutes of the previous meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of 12/18/2023?
Yes, I first.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes. Any discussion on these minutes? Everything
I'm
look,
gonna tell on myself. I had 2 corrections,
okay,
and one, well, there was a formatting problem when I converted it into a PDF, so I'll fix that after. But, down at backhoe replacement, I spelled length wrong. I think I just typed it too quick.
backhoe replacement. What is this? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is page 4 or 41.
L-E-N, yeah.
Yep, and then at the, down to, on item 16, in any other business, I wrote account instead of accountant. I'll fix that. And then the format on the last page where the signatures list didn't convert correctly. And I'll fix that.
Okay. Alrighty. Anything else? Anybody else?
Where was the number 8? It's, you know, the guy gave the presentation from the water feasibility study. Where was that left? Maybe that's a topic for Brandon, you to bring up on
They
your
were
town
coming
manager
back.
report.
Are they coming back?
I don't know. How did that end?
What number was that, Dave?
8, number 8 on the when the presentation came from Otter Creek. How did that end?
When they come back at 60%?
Yeah, I think they're moving into that next phase, which starts a little bit more branching out into what is feasible and who's on board and whatnot. Talking to Springfield, talking to Brandon about discussions that had already happened between Springfield and Windsor, et cetera, just lots of that stuff. And then further development on that, whatever that plan looks like, I guess.
Like I said, maybe that should come under a question that I would have, because, you know, when would the timetable reach 60%? And that's not in these minutes, but when you look at the minutes at the very end, you know, I know we discussed a lot at that presentation, but I was just wondering.
Maybe what we could do is ask Brendan to just get a short summation from them representing 30 to 60%, and you know what that looks like and what that plan or timeline looks like as well.
And they also
Real
have
short.
to submit the 30% report to the state first.
Okay.
And receive feedback on it.
Okay.
Prior to moving to the next stage. So I believe that the 30% report was done in the last meeting.
Right.
Now it goes to the state.
Well, I'm not asking for a report on the 60%. Just do they have a plan what that might look like?
Yes.
And tell us what that is and what that timeline looks like.
Okay.
I think that's kind of what you're asking.
Yeah, because when I read this, you know, we were talking, and the presentation was given in the minutes here, and then, like I said, maybe this is enough for discussion under these minutes. The minutes are correct. I was
Okay.
just kind of wondering what would be done in the next year. What's in 2024 for that project? I don't know.
Anything else on these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, 12/18/2023, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Police cruiser bids. Brandon, I guess you're up on this for discussion?
Is anybody online?
Not that there wasn't.
Because I'm looking at an icon that says your battery's low, so I'm not sure whose battery it
It
is.
says John Brent, that's actually Bill, he's here.
Okay.
And I believe Olivia is describing it.
Alright, get it out.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on, Bill, we're waiting. Olivia's running fast to get a charger for that. Something's not working. About ready to lose, ready to lose battery power, I think. Okay. So Bill is gonna take this, or you're gonna take this?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, Bill, go ahead.
So we opened up we put out the IFPs 23 Explorer Police Pursuit at 44,000, and a 23 Dodge Durango. I believe that was 41,333. They're both available on the lot. I also heard back from Yipes for upfitting. So to upfit for the Explorer, it'd be $13,255.42, and the Durango would be $14,188.42. So essentially, at the end of the day, by the time you upfit them, it's going to be the same cost almost. So far, Ford has not been able to get all the parts in to fix the spare cruiser, so we're still waiting. I guess the shutdown affected some of the parts that come in, and that the cost from Ford did not include an extended warranty, which is probably going to be about $45 to $800. So that's where we stand with the IFPs.
My goodness, you sound like you've got a good one.
Apparently it's a respiratory infection.
Yeah. Yeah, hope that gets better soon. Repair crews are waiting on parts. Any discussion, any questions for Bill?
Well, how long, Bill, Dave, how long did they say that the bid was good for? Do you know?
I believe it was 30 days from when they submitted it, and I believe they submitted it just over a week ago, maybe. He said that he has one black Explorer and 3 white. And I don't know how many Durangos he has on his lot, but they're good for 30.
It doesn't sound
30
good
days.
at all. So, I mean, that's not, clearly not a very long time to hold that number. What was the estimated total repair on the cruiser that was going in for repair? And
That was $3,436, and it's gonna be we have to have probably about another 80 because the rear wiper fell off of it the other day in the snowstorm.
So $4,000.
Yeah, I'd say about 4,000 roughly. I'd say about 3,500.
Depends on how long it takes to get those parts. Well, something else might fall off.
Yeah, and it's just basically what we know. That's not fixing, if the transmission goes on it or,
Yeah.
the engine or something over the next year. That's just to get it roadworthy to be used as a
Back up.
police vehicle.
my question is to Brandon now, where were you getting the money to pay for this if we did it?
Police cruiser reserves.
So, did it reach the $50,000 mark? Or, I mean, when you start adding up these numbers,
Yeah.
it's above that, but did it reach, in the reserve, is already enough to buy one?
I believe there is, especially with the transfers from fund balance that were recommended in the last meeting. I can verify those, give me 1 second. Are there any other questions while I research this?
Yeah. Where are we at with staff, Bill?
Currently, I've got 2 people interested, so I'm gonna be setting up interviews for them. And then John is working still for us every other weekend, and Josh is picking up some hours now in the interim.
What was the, so these 2 cars were on the lot over there, there was a few, apparently Ford's pretty aggressive about keeping them available for anybody to pick off, any department. What was the timetable for the equipment? Was it like 3 months, 6 months?
The equipment, from what I understand, and talking to the purveyor, it depends on what car you get, it's actually, the cage is what's holding everybody up. It's made by one company called Setna. And last I knew, for the Durango, it was about a 3-month wait. The Explorer was about a month and a half.
And so the upfitter, what was their schedule? Not just the parts, but the actual labor.
The total bill for them, let me go to my email.
Not money, Bill, time.
Time. So was it a 3 to 6 month delay, or are they busy,
No,
or?
he said once we finalized with them, they would order it, and then they would just tell us, like, what happened last time with the Cruiser was the same issue, we couldn't get a gauge. So once the gauge came in, we got it up there, and they turned it around in a week. So unfortunately, it would probably, you know, right now, everybody's switching over to the Tahoes, which we cannot afford. The one quote I got before we put out the AFP, they were almost $49,000 just for the car. I know New Hampshire just signed on a big contract with them, the state police, so hopefully lead time to get the Explorer won't be as bad if we decide to go with that. But I do know Charlestown got a Durango, and I think they're 4 months right now. They've had the Durango with lights in it, but no cage. And that's the other option. They can upfit it, and then we can take it back to get a cage when it comes in, depending on how long out they see that.
So Dave, the total for the car would be $54,892.
So 55.
Yeah, 20K would come from police cruiser reserves, leaving a balance of 11,000. 20K would come from fund balance. At least this is my recommendation.
That would be the Durango, correct?
For the Durango.
Yep.
20K from fund balance, and then 15 from ARPA.
Oh.
And the other thing too is if we, since they don't have the parts in, we could sell it at auction and maybe make 6,000, 6,500 versus putting in the 3,500 and then, you know, only walking away with $3,000 by the time we're done with it.
That package that you just said to me is including a lot. Does it leave any police reserve car zero at that purchase?
At least the reserves with 11,000 in them
For the car?
for the car, yes.
But you'll have 3 new cars at that point.
After the finance package that you just outlined?
Yes. At least the police cruiser reserves with 11,000. Again, 20K would come from reserves. There's currently 31,000 in there.
I think prior to all of this COVID money or grant money or whatever, what we tried to do was have enough in there for a half, and then when we wanted to buy one, we would make up the other half either on a reserve article or some sort of a way. So it was always half, and it was every like 3rd year we would rotate to buy one. We've never really had 3 new cars. We've always had 2 cars and kind of a spare. The spare is new. So you're relying on an ARPA fund and a fund balance transfer that's pretty significant, both.
Yes.
Since we're not gonna have a fund balance of that, I don't see that coming up again, so we need to be careful. What I pointed out before was, in the last couple of meetings, I guess it was that we would essentially almost have 2 cars almost equal, and so there really isn't the delay so those 2 will get old at the same time. You'd have to be really aware of that and put it in context of the total town's finance ability and the capital equipment plan in the whole town, meaning fire departments, highway, police, whatever we're buying, which I think we need to put that in somehow. What would it take to review the car that seems to be a problem? It's out of warranty, and therefore it could go to a garage that we like. You know, we could ask a shop to give us their opinion about that. Put some tests on it under stress or whatever to see whether the transmission, whatever is, or what, they can do that in these shops. And evaluate it that way, because I don't know that I'm ready to, at least, I mean, we're talking about an article for highway. I don't know, we haven't gone over anything to do with the fire departments, what may be on the radar for them within another year. We could certainly transfer the balance of what you're talking about to put it into police car reserve to get ready for a new one. But I'm not sure right now that given what we've got for staff, and we do have 2 relatively new cars, and we have this one, that it might not be a better idea to transfer that into the reserve and then wait for a year and then plug $5,000 or $6,000 into this other car so that it takes away all of the risk. Or, I'm not saying it's not gonna break, because we all know things break, but if it needs $3,400, I guess I'm not opposed to finding out, to get an opinion and to spend a little bit more money, whether it has new tires, new brakes, new U-joints.
I like what you just said about, I'm trying to speak up so make sure Bill can hear. Even if we went $6,000 and kept this car, you know, yeah, we're putting $6,000 into a car, but we're gonna keep it for another year, maybe another year and a half. Put the money, like you said, into the reserve account so we're ready for a car. I don't know.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, I want the police to have the equipment that they have. And the other thing I look at is this price. What's that price on that car gonna look like a year and a half from now? You know, I'm surprised it's in the 40s, to be honest with you.
I was pretty surprised when the pricing came.
Well,
in.
both of them are 23s, so to
Yeah,
answer,
they're both last year's model, that's why the Tahoe's already gone up about 7,000 from last year.
Yeah, so the next car is gonna be $40,000-$50,000 or yeah.
yes, I think so. too.
Yeah, and that's what happened when we bought this Explorer. We could, the one that we could have gotten was 38, we waited, and then it went up to 44, I think is what we paid. So it seems to be a trend that every year they jump at least 5,000, you know, model year to model year.
But Bill, it also looks like Yike's pricing increased by a few thousand, is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately, everything's going up, everybody blames COVID.
I don't know, from what I was seeing in the news, this year is supposed to be another steep increase in consumer goods. And that'll be across the board, that'll be everything.
Well, the UAW signed a contract for, what was it, like 3 years or something, for 24% pay raise. I mean, you're not gonna get out of that without adding a sticker price. It's just, I mean, unless they have layoffs, which they probably will, and so that will shorten up the supply. And so, there's no real good picture. All I'm saying is, we do have 2 relatively new cars right now. I think we need to get our feet back on the ground by losing a very, very good police officer who had a car designated to him with a dog. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, is what does the next position look like, Bill? Do you know? Are we, I mean, you and Ryan were both full-time. Are we hiring a full-time replacement? I don't wanna, okay.
It will not be canine. We're looking for a full-time officer who can also do some investigative work.
Okay. All right, so he's gonna be in a car permanently. And then you have the part-time help that they actually share a different car, right? Or they're gonna share both of those 2 cars?
They share, so they share the spare cruiser, and then the spare cruiser is also used for court, traffic details, whatever, or if a vehicle happens to be in the shop, that's what we rely on the 3rd car for.
So does that 3rd car need to be a new car? I mean,
So the plan, what we've always done, this is the first time we've actually tried to keep up with what we tried to do, is our goal when Ed was here was to get cars every couple of years, and when they got to the warranty, get rid of them, so we're not paying for the costs. So that's what our goal has been. And we've always put a car that has higher mileage to be our backup car when we got something new.
Right.
So that's our goal, is to rotate the 3 cars through. But what happened a few years back, if you guys remember the pickup truck, we held on to that truck and we ended up putting almost $6,000 into that truck one year. Because of just a lot of things went wrong. The steering column, or the steering linkage went, and the rear end went, you know. When it gets to a certain point as a police car, things start to break down, and just become a money pit at that point. And especially when they're out of warranty, you know, labor now is like $100 an hour, if not more.
Or more.
So we're just trying to keep the cars that are in our fleet in working condition and get rid of them when they're no longer in warranty. The car that we got for Ryan is now warranted to $120,000. That's the one we got from Ford. Before, they could only do it for $100,000. So that's our goal, is to keep these cars and then get rid of them at the warranty mark. So A, we can get good trade-in value for it, and then B, we're not stuck, you know, putting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 into a car that isn't worth it.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but your car is the new one, right now?
No, the new one is the Explorer.
Okay, and the other car has 30-something thousand miles on it or so?
37,000.
Okay,
So the Charger has 37. The Explorer has 6. And then the Explorer, the 2016 Explorer has 122 something.
yeah, that's what I thought.
That's what it's worth, though. So when you do if you do and I'm, you know, I don't know what to feel. I know that we need another officer. I know that I listen to the scanner from time to time. I know there's a lot going on, and I know that the officers, all of them, need a car that is 100%. So having said all that, I you know, when you measure this a couple of $1,000s between them, that's kind of not really that significant, because we're talking about having to get somewhere in a hurry because something bad is happening. So when you take the value of the car at 120,000 miles, you know, it's pretty much like $5,000. And so you're depreciating that same amount over the 5 years that it took to get to that level. So, you know, when you take 44,000, you're spending about $5,000 or $6,000 a year anyway on either buying the machine or not. Follow me?
I do.
So by the time you get to that 5-year point, you've spent that money, and then the value of it is about residual $6,000 or so. So you're going to burn up that $38,000 in that time just to pay for it.
Bill, do you think that one of these cars is going to kind of lag behind on adding miles to the odometer?
So our goal is to rotate them. So if one starts to get mileage on it, then we're just going to grow. Our ultimate goal is every 2 years to get a new car, so it doesn't take the burden to the taxpayers, and
Yeah.
it spreads it out. And that was the goal we had back when Ed first got here. That's what we started to do. So that's what we're going to continue to try to do. We don't want to hit the taxpayers every year back to back buying cars, because that doesn't benefit anybody. And you know, with the price of cars going up now, that's a huge burden to take for a little agency.
What are the years of the models we have now?
We have a 2016 Explorer, a 21 Charger, and a 23 Explorer.
So the 16 is going, and we're going to end up with 2 cars about 2 years apart. And if we get a 24, that one's only off by a year, but you got 3 cars. What are you going to do?
Well, I think it's smart for us as a board what we just heard was to plan on somehow we need to finance half a car every single year. Because if it's an every other year thing, then it's not hard to do the math. So then you do get in that sequence.
Which, by the time we get out another year and a half to 2 years, you're talking a penny on the tax rate for half a car every year.
Well, we can't, number one, we can't.
Almost.
The other thing you have to remember too is when we got my Charger, COVID happened. So we actually ordered that car, and it took a year and a half to get that car. In that
Right.
time frame, the other Explorer had a ton of miles put on it because one of our other cruisers, this was before we had 3 cars, our other cruiser went offline due to an accident. So that's why we ended up, we tried to space apart the purchase of the Charger and the purchase of the Explorer, tried to space it out. That's why that one car that we got rid of, recently had 170,000 miles on it. It was because we only had the 2 cars in our fleet and one broke down and it was being utilized for a lengthy period of time until they get the parts for the truck. It broke down.
That's too many miles for a police cruiser.
Yeah, and that doesn't include the idle time, which I don't have that off the top of my head. I want to say that was about 7,700 more hours of idle time on the engine too, so.
Well, and we could be there very quickly if something happened. Accidents happen. They're not planned. That's why they're called accidents. My mother used to always tell me that. But I guess I was accident prone. But we could be there very quickly with that 2016 if something happened to one of those other 2 cars. The 21 or the 23. Because then you're gonna have to start running that 2016.
Well, yeah.
It's got
and
122,000
And even
miles
though
on it.
they're under warranty, that doesn't mean that you get a car to use.
No.
Doesn't
Oh, no. You're
So
gonna,
that's where warranties are like, they're worth just what they are. They're an excuse for you to pay for one and not get one.
I don't, something you always ask for, Dave, with the big equipment is service plans. Are there service
Yeah.
plans available for this? Because I don't think that was in the discussion. Did we?
Yeah, no, I said earlier, we left that one out. So we got the service plan on Ryan's car. That was the first one we got to 120,000. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say that was about another 4,800, Brandon. Does that sound right?
It does.
Was it worth it?
We haven't had to use it yet, thank God. But I think that was
Oh.
$100 deductible.
Right, that's Ryan's car.
It did come in handy though, when we had the two Explorers, the one that we just got rid of and this other one, that saved us quite a few times. We had to replace the transmission in Larry's car, and that would have cost us almost $6,000. And then the power steering is gone on them, and the alternators go, they're notorious because of all the wear and tear. So it is worth getting the extended warranty on them. And they do offer it. It's just, when we put out the IFP, it didn't ask for the extended warranty in it, but they all knew about it.
Okay.
It sounds like, from the package that Brandon just told us a few minutes ago, was that, but this might be the last time, so I'm looking more forward than that, because we've, quite frankly, been spoiled by COVID, because we've been getting funds that are not charged from taxes. And that's going to,
That's over this year.
that's going to come
No more
around
extra
like
money
a
pocket.
really big, yeah, I know. Because that, and this was the first time that I've heard you said, well, we're gonna use 15,000 from ARPA. Because that's, you probably sent it to us and you'll show me that I'm wrong, but that's not gonna come around again. And then, I wonder if we're setting ourselves up to a not so good picture. That's where I'm getting to. Maybe reappraisal will come and we'll all be happy.
Well, let me ask this question. Buying this car now means we don't buy another car for 2 years, right?
I would say, basically, we average about 12 to 15,000 miles per car, so I would say probably it would, 3 years to 4 years, unless, God forbid, an accident happens or something like that.
Oh, we got warranty for those.
Well, we got collision.
No, we have insurance for those.
The thing is during those,
I don't make that comment.
During those times, you run your mileage up on your
Yeah.
remaining cruisers.
so we won't have a police car purchase for 3 to 4 years, but we need to still be setting
Money aside.
But that changes how much we need to put aside each year.
It does.
If it was only 2 years, in my mind, I'm looking at $25,000 a year if you're buying a car in 2 years. If you're going out 4 years, you're down to about $12,000 a year that you gotta put in a reserve account to get there.
And Bill, so let's say in 3 years we replace a cruiser, we'll need to replace another one on the 4th year and then another on the 5th year, is that correct? So it'd be back to
No.
back in 3 years?
No, so we're gonna, so what unfortunately has happened to us is, we never had 3 cars until about, I think we purchased the Charger when we started keeping the 3rd car. So we've unfortunately had to put a lot of miles on one cruiser when one was in the shop. One got wrecked once, it was in the shop. So that's why the mileage is so different on the cars right now. Our goal is to, every other year, purchase a new car. Not back to back, but every other year. And if we get a 3rd car, what we could do, which most agencies do, is they rotate the cars so the mileage stays consistent, so it's an every 2-year purchase to 3 years. Or in this case, we know that with Ryan's, I should stop saying that, it's not his car anymore, but that warranty now goes to 120,000. So when it gets to about 110, that's when we should start looking to replace that car. The Charger's 100,000, so when you get to 90, that's when you should start looking. And then that way, when it reaches that threshold of whenever the warranty's done, you're not gonna get hit with a surprise, $4,000 you blew the engine, or, $4,800 you blew the transmission, or, things like that.
Yeah, and the other part is planning the capital plan to fit that 2 years of your purchase plan.
How much, so if this one gets bought, the 2 full-time police officers will have relatively new cars, because one will have 0 miles on it, the other one has 5,000.
Right.
So the Charger has 35,000 miles on it. That becomes the car that sits for, or is only worked, 12 to 15 hours a week?
No, it's gonna be, so, every other weekend, John works 30 hours for us. And then, whoever else is a part-time officer, when they come do clicker to ticket details, stuff like that, he gets used. So, it'll average, 20 to 25 hours a week when we don't have details, when there's no court, when there's no contractual service. The part-time car gets utilized for that, to try to save mileage on the frontline cars. That's what we've always historically done with the 3rd car. And when one of the main ones goes offline, that becomes the car that whoever's officer has a disabled vehicle, that's who they use. So that way we're not doubling up in a car. Like if we only had 2 cars and one car went down and you have 2 officers driving in a car, and then you play the shuffle game at the end of the night, and then that car's run, 20 hours a day, 4 days a week, and then on every other weekend, it's another 30 hours it's being ridden.
But that would be on the picture with only 2 cars. We don't have that now, we have 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's why, the discrepancy with the mileage and the other ones, that's why. We've only had the 2 cars, so they've always, when something happened, we've always had to utilize, one of the frontline cars. That's how the mileage went up.
that's a good plan. Another thing that just hit me was this. We talked a minute ago about maybe if we put $6,000, up to $6,000 into the old car, we can get through another year. Well, let's say it costs us $6,000 to do that. Excuse me, I start to sound like you, Bill. I don't want to do that. But anyway, now factor in the increase in the cost of the car a year and a half from now, which could be another $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Now you're talking about a $12,000 difference between the car now and a car a year from now.
Yep. Yeah, that's what happened when we wanted to buy the Rango last year, and that's, I was gonna go up to 50,000 to protect it. So we're not even considering those, they're just way too big of a car.
Brandon, do you have a projected fund balance transfer plan for police cruiser reserves?
20,000.
So we'll have 15 left, but 20,000 going in. Is that correct? Is that,
$20,000 going into the police cruiser reserves,
what'll be the balance after we buy this one?
11,000.
So it'll be 31,000 in there. Okay.
There's 31,000 in there right now. I recommend the transfer of 20,000. We could either,
Okay, you misunderstood the question. I'm not talking about spending 20,000 to buy the car. I'm talking about a fund balance being transferred into to rebuild the reserve account. Are you anticipating a fund balance transfer into the police cruiser reserve account to build that back up?
so there's 31,000 in there right now.
Okay.
I recommend the transfer of 20,000 into that account.
Oh,
It's
from,
not in there already.
It's not in there
Okay.
right now,
From where?
from the fund balance that we currently have.
Of
Okay.
6/30/23.
Yes, but to make it easier, the recommendation I made was 20K from reserves, leaving it with 11K.
right.
20 from fund balance, and then 15 from ARPA. So this, because there's no point of us making a journal entry from fund balance to reserves, only to take it back out of reserves to purchase.
No, I'm trying to get my head wrapped around, when this is all done, do we have a fund balance left is there any fund balance that we can transfer after that into the reserve account?
It depends on if we want to change the fund balance transfer recommendation that I made. The current recommendation is 20,000 from fund balance to police cruiser reserves. And if you want to do more than that, then you have to take away from the other recommendations.
Oh, okay, that's a long way around, but it clears up, I think, what I was asking.
Yeah, there's more money, but he's got other ideas.
Yes. Actually, August, I think, originally had his hand up, and I never got over there because Brandon was.
Yeah, just
I'll be right with you,
my
Wendy.
observation is that these seem like incredibly good prices right now.
They do.
They seem like a good price. I like what the chief said, and Brandon, I think, answered that question too, which is getting to a point where you have an every other year predictable cyclic purchase, and then planning the mileage so that you basically have 1, 2, 3 in terms of least used, most used, and you're as they age out, you're replacing them every other year. I think you're in a good place. But I do think that when you look at the fact of the repair costs, and then you look at the fact of how radically the cost of goods and vehicles have gone up year to year to year, above inflation even. My observation is it would be a good purchase now to get a lower cost vehicle, and then replenish the reserves over a 2-year period, so that when that next vehicle ages out, you're prepared for that new purchase.
I think in the interim, we'll have 3 or 4 years. Wendy?
That's even better.
So the only question I have is that I'm agreeing with what he's saying, but I didn't hear, are we actually looking at the cost for the warranty, and where is that coming from? I'm just curious.
Oh, it's all in there. It's all in there.
That's in that pricing?
It's,
I thought that
The
when I
extended
heard.
40.
is,
Warranty was,
Oh, okay. No,
extended warranty was 4,500.
Right, but,
that was extra.
but it's not included in the recommendation, you're right, Wendy.
okay,
So-
that was, I just wanted to know, so if that were the case, because I think we've all kind of liked the idea of doing that, I just
Oh, I think so.
wondered where that money was coming from.
So that would, any balance over 40,000 would come from ARPA.
So that would take your ARPA to 20,000,
Correct.
or 19.5.
Roughly 20,000.
19.5, yeah. Okay. Board got enough information? Any further discussion?
Are they both SUVs, Bill?
The Explorer and the Durango, yes, they are. Oh, I'm sorry, did I have you? Oh, no, good. Okay.
Do I hear a motion, or do you wanna hold on to this for another 2 weeks, or you wanna get this off our table? What's the board's position? We can entertain a motion now, or do we need to modify the recommendation?
I just want to make sure, Bill, do you want the Dodge Durango Pursuit or the Ford?
for the Durango,
Okay.
And that one's 41.3.
correct.
Okay. Is that what you created your, I'm not, I'm there
That is
now.
what Bill and I talked about earlier. I just wanted to confirm one last time that.
And to clarify the motion, would it be to move to authorize the purchase of the vehicle, or would we have to add additional language such as ARPA fund?
I'm looking for the recommendation. What page is that on?
I don't have a recommendation in writing. I'm sorry.
Oh,
The holidays, anyways, we weren't in the office much the past couple of weeks, so I didn't have time to put together a recommendation.
slacker.
I know.
All right, so what do you have for a number, and break it down? 41.3 for the cruiser, is that correct, roughly?
Yeah, so 41,337 for the police cruiser. Yipes Auto Graphics is 13,550, 552 chief.
550, 552?
I believe. Maybe a little bit different.
What was that number again?
13,555.52.
Got it.
Brings it up to
It
54,891.
might be slightly different than,
For the Durango, it was 14,18842.
okay.
Oh, wrong price.
I'm sorry, 14 what?
188, 42.
42, okay. Got that. And extended warranty is about 4,500, I think?
Yeah, I can get that from Gomez and Christian tomorrow. But yeah, I think that we paid about 4,400. I think it was for the Explorer.
Okay, what'd you get, Mike?
$60,000.
Yeah,
That sound about right?
59, yeah, so I figured. a little
I got
higher.
59,988.
Yeah,
So 60,000.
Yeah.
Now, where's it all coming from, Brendan?
20,000 from police cruiser reserves, 20,000 from the 2000, the fiscal year 23 fund balance,
And 20 from
and then up to 20,000 from ARPA.
ARPA. So that's what the motion would sound like.
Yeah.
20 from the police cruiser reserve, 20,000 from 2023 fund balance, 2223 fund balance reserve, and up to 20,000 from the ARPA funds. Somebody want to make that motion?
Will it be to authorize the purchase or to approve a purchase?
Either way.
Yeah, either one does it.
I'll make the motion. I move to authorize the purchase of a police cruiser in the total amount of 60,000, with 20,000 from reserve, 20,000 from the 23 fund balance, and 20,000 from ARPA.
Up to 20,000 from ARPA.
Up to 20,000 from ARPA.
And it probably should say up to 60,000 on the cost of the cruiser too, huh, Dave?
I don't know.
You weren't listening?
No.
so we're only taking 20 out of the police reserve?
Yes.
Okay.
So that leaves
11,000.
approximately 11,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
How much money is in the ARPA funds?
Estimate, can I give you an estimate?
Yeah, but you had a chart or whatever where you had some sort of a plan to disperse those funds.
Yes.
Was this part of that plan, or did it break into that plan?
It broke into it. Look at the
That
look on
was
his face.
Well, but the plan was a kind of a loose guideline, wasn't it, so far?
Yeah. It was.
Well, we didn't really move on anything or
I didn't
Head
say
down that
anything
road.
other than what was the balance left in there, and
we won't be able to put up new signs.
we've had this discussion before, I think, where I'm not picking on Bill, but somebody runs in and says, why not me? And you're dispersing ARPA funds.
I know.
We seem to be.
Well, in Bill's defense, he could say, well, you did it for the fire department.
Well,
Which we
but-
did, but it was
Well,
different.
Well, hold the
We did it for the
phone,
last
because we
fire.
did it for the last cruiser.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah, that's right, too.
This is me.
We
yeah.
did, that's right.
We've dumped a lot of money in different things where we're choosing, and something may come up later and go, okay, what happened? Do you have about the approximate what's left in it?
Approximately 300,000, but I can get you an exact number.
No. I didn't think we had that much, but.
I didn't
if
either.
it-
I was thinking 180 or something like
I
that.
don't know, but that's significant.
Yep.
And we do have to remember something about the ARPA funds. They don't let you put them into reserve accounts. It actually would probably pay to take more out of the ARPA funds. I'm gonna argue against myself and not drain the reserve account.
You're correct.
Yeah.
It has to be taken into
Yeah,
account.
because you have to use it.
Although, didn't you tell me, though, Brandon, that they are allowing to reserves now?
Well, what you do is you
Uh-oh.
you
Say
pay
you're,
for expenses directly in your budget to create fund balance. So like, let's say you budgeted for a police cruiser this year in your budget. You pay for that police cruiser, but you've already raised the money in taxes, so then you transferred that fund balance.
I was, when I started out this, I really thought it was a better idea to wait because of the staffing, what I consider to be a staffing issue right now, and the fact that we have 2 cars. But I also understand about the need to have the men and women that sit in these have to have very, very reliable things. And it's not like the fire department where we have like a lot of cars, whether at the highway, if a truck breaks, they get in another one. Having said that, I don't think it's smart to put in the finance package the motion at this time. Because if we came back to revisit whether or not, I think the importance would be to hold to the 30-day bid. But I think if you gather more facts about how it would be financed, might be a little smarter.
So just authorize the purchase for up to $60,000 of the car
Yeah, I think
and allow the town manager to determine the funding
Then you can
mechanism?
come back to us in 2 weeks or whenever he gets back to say, listen, it is a little bit better for us to put 30,000 of ARPA or,
and leave, yeah.
and that way it sets up the next cruiser.
You okay with that on your motion?
Yes, absolutely,
So-
okay with that.
So the motion will be modified or amended to say that the board authorizes up to $60,000 for the purchase of a police cruiser. Leave it up to the town manager to determine the appropriate funding mechanisms to be determined.
To be bringing back to us for a final authorization.
Yeah, we'll authorize that later, but we're authorizing the purchase of the vehicle, so they can go ahead and they can do that. We're authorizing them to spend $60,000. He's just gonna tell us where it's gonna come from, and we'll put our stamp on that when that happens. The second, okay with that as well?
Yes.
Okay, so
So instead of.
hang on for the discussion, we gotta vote on the amendment. I've been reading too much Robert's Rules of Order lately. So, the amendment, there's an amendment to the motion to change its wording. I've just described what that is, to change the funding mechanism, put it in the hands of the town manager. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion.
So does that, my thought process then, that it would elevate the remaining balance in the police cruiser reserve from 11,000 to an amount to be determined a little bit later?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we can pay for
Okay.
as much of the police cruiser from ARPA as we want.
Okay, then it probably be, just so you know where I'm at, then, I think it's really smart to have a half a cruiser in that.
Okay.
Okay, wait a second, so if we're not gonna fix the one with 120,000 miles on it, or it's going to be fixed temporarily, because we just got the word on this that it might be ready in like 3 months, right? These two are sitting on the lot.
Yes.
We just got notice that they could be ready in 3 months or something. Then that one could be put up, and I'm suggesting that we don't go to auction with that one, that we get it ready to be sold,
Put a seal right
right?
on it.
Because if it's 5,000 or 6,000, then we don't go down the road of spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
You'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I'll talk to Bill about that tomorrow.
But that'll get dumped into the reserve as well.
I think what I'll also do is put together a capital plan that shows when the next police cruisers we purchased, so that we know how much we have to set aside each year, and the amount to be used from ARPA.
The other thing I think that would be good for us to view when we come back to that is that list that we were talking about on ARPA, where we have, kind of a plan, just so we can look at that. I don't know that we want to spend a lot of time digging into it, but, to continue to be aware of what we have and what things are on that list moving forward. So.
But what I said goes a long way when we get out of the ARPA world to set up
Yes.
ourselves for the purchase of a half a cruiser. Yes.
Well, I think that'll come along with the capital plan.
Yep.
Want it, Brandon?
Well, and I apologize, I was supposed to have that capital plan in this meeting, and we were able to get done with.
Those holidays for him.
And Mike?
Yes.
Also, I think it would be nice to be able to see this plan, I know we're using ARPA, and I'm not always the biggest proponent of doing that type of thing, but I do like the idea that this could possibly set up a good plan.
Right.
If we could actually do this, and we'll call this the boost to get to that place where we can see this plan that Bill has set up, because that does actually sound good, and I'd like to see that really come to fruition.
Yep. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Hey, I hope you feel better. That doesn't sound like it's fun.
It's only a respiratory infection, I'll get over it.
Vote to authorize the chair to bid during the January 15th tax sale. I don't have any money.
Brandon does.
Need a motion for me to bid on properties during the tax sale? Means I gotta go to a tax sale.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. This is to authorize the chair to bid on delinquent properties.
Are there three?
There's two left.
There's two.
And the two that are remaining are in this packet here. And the two that are currently remaining may not be remaining on the 15th.
Right.
We just don't know until we get there.
Till the day of.
As of right now, we have two remaining.
So when they come to you with this, there's one here that owes quite a bit, isn't there?
Yes.
So when they come to you, when we do the tax thingy, they have to pay that full amount off first, or do they have to pay that full amount off within a year?
Depends. That's a plan that they make up with the tax collector.
And they have to keep up with the updated taxes as well, correct?
Current. They have to stay current.
But it's too late for that right now. It's already headed to the tax sale.
Yeah, it'll
So they can't come in and make a plan. They can't, these two parcels can't come in and make a plan to pay.
Oh, okay.
You have to pay that amount. Those days, they're over. They had the chance to do that.
I gotcha, okay.
And let me give you an example. So let's say the past due taxes are 20,000, right?
Yeah.
Just so we have an even number to work with. And when the tax sale opens, the first bid must be 20,000.
Yeah, to pay for the taxes.
20,000 to pay for the taxes. And then bids could go up to 100,000. And what happens is, it's good for an investment, because an investor will do that, because they'll collect 1% interest per month on the 100,000. And that amount has to be paid in order to redeem the property.
But the town can't profit from that.
No.
So the town will be made whole on these two properties on January 15th from the amount of money that that it's owed in principal on back taxes, penalties, interest, and the lawyer fee to do the title search. The owner of the property has up to 1 year, to get all that back. And the taxes still go on, by the way, so the taxes there's another quarter that's due in February of 24, next month. So those may they're not part of this, they're still ongoing. So that's speculation, you can't do that. It is what it is, you're right, you can bid higher than that dollar. The town, though, I've done it before, the town will bid that dollar that's owed.
And that's as much as we can.
That's
pay.
it. So the jeopardy in this, the only question for us to listen to is, and we've had this happen before, and I asked Brandon this morning, is any of these, I didn't know there was down to 2, because it started off at 8, are any of these properties that the town might not be interested in bidding on, because we've had, for instance, unlanded mobile homes in the past, where there's no one living in them, or it's a problem, and we generally don't bid on that. The owner of the property may bid on that because they want to vacate that lot. It's a legal remedy to help out the landowner. So, both of these that are left are not. So, did we vote on that yet?
We have not. Any further discussion on the motion to appoint the chair to bid during the January 15th tax sale? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Who's gonna lend me $17,000 to bid on?
We actually take that out of the general fund.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little weird.
We got a lot of
Because
ARPA money.
even the treasurer will. So let's say that nobody bids, but the town bids.
Yes.
We
have to pay that, we have to pay it.
yes.
I know.
We don't-
And if they don't pay it back,
The landowner has to pay, or the homeowner.
What if they don't pay you back in a year?
then we own it. And
We had that happen to
Then
a
we can sell it
landlocked
for
piece
all
of
that money?
property up in the middle of
Do
town.
we get that profit?
I do. You
don't-
just authorized it.
We would
Just
collect
kidding.
the 1% interest per month
Yeah.
From
Yes.
the owner,
from
yes.
the owner. If they redeem it.
Yes.
If they don't, then we would have to foreclose on the property after a year.
And
All of that language, though, has been assembled by the person that you had
Right.
draft this tax sale article. So there are laws in the state of Vermont how to have a tax sale. This isn't anything new.
no,
And it's all, I mean, this is all statute and
Yeah.
policy.
okay.
I'll leave it.
Fiscal year 25 town meeting articles. We only have one, right? That we need to pretty much worry about?
Yes.
And that is the
Grader, the
replacement
excavator.
for the backhoe. Did you do any more homework on that, Dave?
Yes.
I did a little myself.
Nice. I got some information, though, that was quite a bit conflicting. So I'd rather stay out of that and kind of take the high road, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. We don't need conflict.
Yes. I did find out that a rental cost of a machine is about $8,000 a month for 160 hours. They allow you a 40-hour week, so that turns out to be $50 an hour for renting. That means that you're not on the hook for any repairs. You're supposed to have insurance. I've rented machines before. You put diesel fuel in, and you're allowed to use that machine for that time. I'm trying to look at this. I was told in the beginning that we were going to replace the backhoe with a backhoe. That seemed to shift to an excavator. Now, the backhoe does more than the excavator, and the excavator can't do what the backhoe can do. I don't know whether everybody's aware of this, but the backhoe has a front loader. The excavator is only a digging machine. You can't, where the backhoe has a hoe and a loader, so it's not the same piece. The size to me matters on this, where Caterpillar, and we were told on the presentation from a couple weeks ago that they do not build that particular size that was being looked at for the money that we were looking to spend. I think there's a reason for that on these wheeled excavators. don't see one that's 15 years old, so there's no way to compare that size model. I know that my brother ran a 314 at Gurney Brothers for a long time on wheels, and they still have it, but those machines are between 32 and 34, 35,000 pounds. They're big. So, to make a long story short on this, I think I would support placing a larger amount into the reserves, doing a little more homework. I did find out that Caterpillar had on their radar some engineering thoughts about, in the next few years, to building a smaller machine on wheels. That's very intriguing to me, because I also did some homework about what the town has done in the past when it's jumped the gun a little bit. So about 10 or 15 years ago, a Scutney Fire Department came to us and said that they had a problem with one of their engines, and it was out of line from buying a new truck. In fact, the West Side was in line that particular time to buy one. So there was a little bit of a problem there. The board voted at the time to undertake some bidding, and Dingy happened to bid on that machine, E1 bid on it, and then another company had bid on the fire engine. The fire department was actively involved in it, and they happened to bid. I thought it was from down in south, whether it was Texas or Florida. It turned out to be South Dakota, where this manufacturer was. The fire department was involved actively, and everybody thought they did the right thing. So they bought that truck to replace the truck that Muscutney said had a big problem. And what happened was, it was a very bad experience. Right within 5 years, there was a lot of warranty issue. They didn't cover it. They said it was our problem here at the town, whether they did something with the wiring. And to make a long story short, it was because it seemed to be a brand that wasn't as recognized, and the town had spent something like $50,000 in repairing it. We got rid of that truck and bought a new engine in the Scutney. And so that's what I'm fearing about this with this particular unit. Why in the world doesn't the two biggest leading manufacturers in construction equipment build one that would be comparable to this? Because I'm worried about it lasting.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
So, we just dealt with the police cruiser, and we asked Phil what he was looking for. I think we have to be careful when we have a supervisor that knows what he wants for equipment.
But I don't think enough due process was taken up in,
No,
and I've told Ray that before. He knows where I stand on
No,
this.
I understand that, Dave. I'm just saying overall,
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know.
If you think that, and I don't have a problem with somebody telling me that I'm in too deep, but I'm not. I'm looking in the best interest of the town for the value that I have to sign off on spending. And when you spend $200,000 on something, it's not comparing apples to apples to say that it's just a little bit more or a little bit less than a backhoe. It's not doing the same thing as a
I
backhoe.
get that. I understand that as far as that goes. And I want you to know, I like equipment and I love CAT. But I also know there are times when we're looking at equipment that we have to get a specific thing for a specific job. And all I'm saying is, when we're asking the police chief what vehicle he prefers in one situation, and we're really looking at those figures and we want to keep them tight, I think we have to be careful when we're now dealing with somebody else who looks at what he needs in his fleet and what he wants to do for a job. And again, I agree with you, because I know what a backhoe is and I know what an excavator is, that I do believe that we do have to be careful when what I listened to at the last meeting was specifically the job and why he wanted the machine, why he was choosing the specific machine. So I'm just saying that I agree with you in what you're saying, because my preference is Caterpillar. But.
I'm not talking
No,
finance.
I'm just saying that I can understand quality in a machine, but I also think we have to be careful when we're looking at
So
the cost.
so the way out of that is, I'd like to see the specs that were given,
That's
was-
sort of what I was just gonna do.
that
I was gonna-
was derived from the $200,000.
What machine were we looking at? Where is Ray tonight?
I'm not 100%. There was a house fire in Springfield.
Yeah, I saw a truck go by my house.
So then around that, I'm not sticking up for a brand. What I am very concerned about is longevity and the amount of money that's being asked to spend. And we were told from Ray that this was gonna last 15 years. That's in the minutes.
What machine was it? Do you remember?
I don't.
Was it a Volvo?
Speaking about specific brands.
He didn't want to quote a brand
He
because
did-
it could impact bids.
But it had to be, somebody had to do some homework to get that dollar amount, and it had to have some specs on it from weight and ability and whatever the machine
I
is.
thought that was kind of.
Bill did that.
No, but I was gonna say, I thought that was in general, like, that he was looking at a specific machine, he didn't let us know what the brand was, but he was saying what it was that he was looking for, and the only reason I mentioned Caterpillar was because they didn't actually it only got brought up because, I don't even know why it was brought up, but it was just that they didn't make that specific
Size.
size.
Or
And I don't
John,
even know the brand.
John Deere, as a matter, was included.
That's right.
in
Okay,
it.
It
so,
wasn't-
so it might have just been that I had heard that one brand, but I'm just saying, he wasn't giving a brand, and I do believe we need to hear what the specs are, but I also think that we also, I think we were kind of.
I'm putting it all in context. I'm just gonna stand my ground on this. And if I lose, I lose. I'm saying that with the road crew and the rental that we've done, we have the ability to do that. You have to be forward thinking about renting that. We also have received grants and everything in context and actually hired that ditching done. I haven't seen the ditching done since the 47 years that I've lived here to the extent that we have, and I don't think we have to redo that again, like on my road or Skyline. I can name all the roads. Now, I know there's a few roads that still have to be done, but I also know that some fallout has come from this ditching. There's been a lot of tree damage from roots on it, and I don't believe, which Ray already knows how I feel about this, I don't think it's necessary to, and he's had plenty of other people weigh in on this, not just me, widen the roads which create more speed. And I understand everything about getting rid of water on the roads, but there's a happy medium on all of it. So when you have a crew that has 6 men, and you have the ability to rent, and then you have to factor in the cost and the payment, and not only just the buying of a machine or whatever it is, and the job that it does, and then the ability to hire out other vendors to actually complete the project that you're doing on a very long-term thing, like 20 years. So you don't have to do this work every year for, on the roads. That's all I'm trying to.
No, I was just looking at the fiscal aspect of the fact that putting a lot more money into a larger machine that may not fit in with what the highway department needed.
There wasn't an RFP put out, so, and you were a little surprised when I said this before, but it has happened in the past. And I think the police, is a little unfair to compare to because of the money context. I mean, you're talking about $50,000 for a cruiser, but it's in a different league when you have to multiply that. And I would feel the same way about a fire truck, because that one's gonna be a little scary the next time.
Yeah,
Proctorsville.
that'll be 600,000 the next
Yeah,
time.
and the ladders are north of $1 million now. So it's all in context, and we do have to see the capital plan for all of the debt and all of what we're trying to do.
But we currently have a machine that needs to be replaced. Or, as you said, rent. When I go back to, it was probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when we first started talking about a grader, that first big grader that we got, and we were talking about getting it and having it for 4 or 5 years and flipping it. I did a lot of math, and it did not match up with rental. Rental cost more than your actual cost of ownership because of the price we buy the machine at with the municipal discount. you take a loan for 7 years, put your service package on it, and somewhere in the 6 or 7 year range, you trade that machine back in. Now, that's Caterpillar, who's treated us very good. And I hope we've got a good relationship with them, and I think we have.
It depends.
But the numbers, when you get to that point where you trade that machine back in, your annual cost was actually down and below what rental cost was to do our roads with a grader. This isn't the same, and I recognize that. I think the grader probably does a lot more work than.
Actually, it's doing less right now than the old one, because when the roads are elevated and there's less water in them, you need to grade less.
Well, that tells us that the guy that's coming in here asking us for this machinery might know what he's doing.
Well, no, that's happened before he got here.
August.
I didn't do the level of research that Dave did, but I did talk to an excavator operator with 20,000 lifetime hours of excavator use in all different ranges and sizes, and a gentleman from Springfield. And I posed the question for a wheeled excavator to do road work. His feedback was, you have to make sure it's not too big, because the biggest issues you'll have is avoiding power lines and tree damage. He said, so that having a smaller wheeled excavator would be ideal, for for dirt road use, for instance. And so I was just going to share that one piece of feedback.
You know what I got told by Caterpillar today? They figured that out, and they have. Now this is something.
I know the answer to this question.
Why, are you talking to him?
Nope.
But you've got to have a warranty to make sure all this stuff works.
Yeah.
They have a dial in there that will not let your boom go higher to hit the wire. So you set.
Well, it was
you
the
set
different
12
answer.
feet or something, and your boom won't reach them. Now I don't like that idea, because that's too much electronics.
Actually,
I get all that.
this was actually a cat issue. They've added a knuckle that you can dig right beside the machine with, but they don't make the machine smaller. It's still a big
You don't want
machine.
too big a boom, and you have to be nimble when you're working along small, narrow areas, i.e.
Well, I called one who lives in town that probably has as many, and you know who I'm probably talking about, Dave, Dwight.
Oh yeah.
And he was all in on an excavator to do what Ray wants to do.
And I do believe that, I think it's a testament to the highway department, that considering the 4 mud seasons we have year round now, the ability for them
Getting there.
to keep our roads open and flowing, I mean, it's really commendable. And so I have no doubt that the proper machine will be put to proper use, and it'll be good value for the taxpayers. I'll finish with this one comment. I like putting it to the taxpayers to make the decision on the 100,000.
Well, that was the other thing we're looking at here is
Remember, that's 3 cents.
what we have is 3 options in front of us for an article.
And please use the paper version. We made a small change between the electronic and the paper version. It's an increase in the cost of the excavator from $230 to $250, just to give a little bit of flexibility until March. So it will not exceed $250 rather than not exceeding $230.
So where does the other 150,000 come from?
Yeah, you got to tell us where that is.
That would be coming from highway reserves.
That has to be in the article.
Well, then how
There
much?
should be.
See, this is why for me to make this decision tonight is not gonna happen. And I think it's vacant of our plan to examine what these could extend out to be, and draining a reserve account by 150,000. I mean, there's gotta be more information for me. Like what's the next purchase, or how much is left in that? Does it work? It just added 3 to 4 to 5 times what I just spoke about for the police car.
It does say in the article, this is the same exact,
Number 3 and number 2, I see it.
this is the same finance package really that we were talking about in the last meeting. It just allows more flexibility, which is what the board board requested.
No, but we don't see any capital reserve plan or what the balance is left in there or what's left out of the accounts.
So that was in your packet. I can pull that up right now.
It's here? No, I'm going to
That
the
was in
orders.
your packet on 12,
Your
Oh,
last
the
one.
the last,
Yeah,
pa-
it's
the
not on
last
today.
It
packet.
was on,
Yeah.
it was
The
on
last one,
packet.
yeah.
12/4/23, if you go into your packet, you'll see,
Got it?
yeah.
We're gonna get it on this screen?
Yes, you can.
So go to 12/4/23 and scroll down and you'll.
No, he thought you were gonna get it up there for him.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'll just wait to write it down.
I did actually jump over there.
No, do you know it? No.
12:4?
Yeah, 12/4/23, and then scroll down to.
Is it in the minutes?
No, it's right inside the packet.
Okay, so agendas, agendas,
The debt schedule is also there.
how do I get to my packet on that?
So if you go to
Regular
page
meeting,
70 of 96, you'll find the reserve funds.
regular meeting, December 4, right there.
Got it.
Select board packet, right there. And what page is that on in the packet, Brendan?
70 of 96.
Okay, so that's one of these.
So you have $219,278 in there right now. And then we also proposed the transfer.
219?
What was that, Doug?
You said 219 in there?
Yeah, 219. And then we have highway fund balance this year as well, and we're proposing to transfer,
It's 40,000, wasn't it?
I believe it was, but let me just verify. 40,000. So it'd be 259.
That's the number I had remembered.
So what that does, if we did spend 150,000, which we're not planning to because we also have a backhoe to sell, but if we did spend 150, it'd still be
100?
Dave, what do you think that backhoe's gonna sell for if it sells? 12,000, maybe?
Well, no, because the thing that Ray said, he got the opinion, not me, so I prefer to go back to the minutes. I don't wanna speak out of turn.
So then, if we go to page 72 of 96, we can go to the debt schedule. And what that will show you is when the next machine is up to be replaced.
Where am I going for that? Debt schedule?
Yeah, 72 of 96.
Yep.
That's all in that same packet?
Yep.
Yes.
Left-hand column where? Which one?
72 of 96, so we'll have, we have a highway truck
Yep.
that will be paid off in FY '28, a grader that will be paid off in FY '28, and then a dump truck that
We
will
got
be paid
plow
off
truck
in
that we just finished.
FY '28, correct.
But perhaps more importantly would be, what is the next thing to be spent on?
Dump truck next year, is
I
that what
don't
he
know.
said?
I don't
That,
know.
but that's not gonna change the need to replace the backhoe.
No, but it's going to add to the, when you get out of the reserve down to 110, there'll be no more money set aside. After you take 150 out of the reserve.
When you put the money in the reserves to spend on equipment,
But you, no, all I'm talking about is, there's going to be something bought before, or you would hope there would be, because you should be buying one thing before FY '28, when your loans, you have 3 loans that are up in FY '28.
yes.
So,
So we want to make sure that we have the finance packages for those as well.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
So option number 1 here was for us to put $100,000 into the equipment apparatus acquisition fund so that we would not borrow money from a bank. We would actually just go to the voters for $100,000, and then we would have $359,000, and we would spend up to 219, I think, right? Isn't that the cost? What was the cost of the machine? The cost of the machine was around 212, wasn't it?
Yeah.
200, 212?
And the reason being, if you look at the last capital purchase that we made for the fire truck on page 72 of 96, in the FY '24 column in red, in the black is the principal payment, and the red is the interest payment.
Yes.
So you can see how much we're spending on interest by financing that fire truck. So the goal is to, with this piece of equipment, not any money in interest if possible. Because it'll save, so by coming up with the 100,000 up front, we'll save money over the next couple of years by not having interest on a loan.
That article, Dave, would not buy a piece of equipment. Because it doesn't say anything about any one piece of equipment one way or the other. That was just money in the account. So a decision would then have to be made later, what you're going to buy.
Correct. Which would give opportunity to advertise an invitation for bid, and then also discuss the type of equipment that we'll purchase when the bids come back.
The only difference I caution on there is $100,000 on the tax rate. Because that's an article that's gonna add an instant $100,000 to your tax need, which is 34,000 is a penny.
How much is the highway 6/30/23 year-end surplus?
Can't write over here, I'm having trouble, Dave.
75,000 is what it's 127,940. We're comfortable allocating up to 75,000
From fund balance.
from fund balance.
From 6/30/23. So we're well into a new year.
I believe the proposed machine was 200, or roughly 212,000 is what he was talking about 2 weeks ago. It was around 212, I'm pretty sure, if I remember.
215 to 230 is what he put in there, so.
I think there's various estimates on a machine.
Okay. So, I mean, that would, I mean, if we're doing 100,000 into an account, then it doesn't matter at this point what that is. We don't even have to think of that. What you got going on, Dave?
Well, no, that's a whole nother question, because where I was still at was where did the total highway surplus year end 6/30/23 was 127.
Yep.
You're saying that you only want to deal with 75?
Well, similar to the general fund, some of the fund balance was restricted in the FY24 budget. As we used fund balance to reduce the tax rate, and some of it was restricted for annual frequent expenses. So, with that being said,
So will the remaining $50,000 be or 40,000 be hanging around in the highway budget?
depends on how we end FY24. So if we end FY24 precisely where we believe we will, then
It'll be extra money.
there'll be 50,000.
Wasn't there a recommendation to deal with that instead of like now, wasn't it? Didn't you want some into wheels and then some into whatever that other second account in is for highway?
So we're dealing with it by allocating 20,000 to highway fund tax reduction, which that's already been done with the approval of the FY25 budget, because there was $20,000 in fund balance for highway fund tax reduction.
Isn't there another reserve account for highway that's not dealing with machinery?
Yeah, and then the proposal was 40,000 to highway equipment and 15,000 to highway capital.
Only 15 for machines.
No, 40 for machines, 15 for
Road use or something.
maintenance and so forth. And that one currently has a balance of,
Did that get done yet?
no,
So the number that you gave us, that's in the reserve account right now, the 219,000 is not reflective of the 40,000 that will be deposited?
and the other account has 89,000 for highway capital maintenance and improvements.
What does that have to do with paving and whatnot?
Yeah, so with 15 being transferred in there, it'll be like 104, plus whatever interest we collect for the year.
What's your recommendation on this? What would you prefer to see?
Option number 1, to put $100,000 on the ballot. It saves us money and interest, it gives us more time to advertise an invitation for bid, spec out the piece of equipment, and then discuss the results at a later date.
How's the board feel about that recommendation?
Second?
I need you to make, I don't
Well, you'd have to make the motion, he can't.
That was a joke.
I caught it.
She got
you also have to put on here that this is not included in the, like we've done in the past, when an article's not included in the,
That's a good point.
Not in the budget. In
Yes.
parentheses, not
yeah, you
in the
need
budget.
that on all of those.
Yeah, anything that's not in the budget, you have
Has
to,
to have it beside it, because people need to know that that's extra.
that's correct. And that's how we've always told them.
Yeah,
So what I can do is, if the board wants to approve the articles tonight, which the $100,000 is already in.
whoops. Sorry,
Scared me, I thought I got shot.
don't say that.
Filled into Article 11,
Yeah, I see it.
I can give you the actual signature page in the next meeting.
Just for feedback, I do support number one also, because I like the fact of building the reserve, giving time for additional research,
It's the same as Article 11 anyways, on the,
and then also not incurring debt with high interest rates.
yeah.
Anybody want to make a motion? What do we need to include in the motion, Brendan? All the articles? The articles need to be, all of these articles need to have the language in parentheses, not in the budget, or not
all
in,
of them, only Articles 11 through 17.
correct. Anything that's raising money.
But you know what? That's not correct, because some of these articles are already in the budget.
Why?
Because the way that the policy is written is they stay in the budget for 2 years, and then they're removed.
Then why are they in
Then
Article?
why are they here? If they're in the budget. If they're already in the budget, why are they here? They're requesting a change. If they're requesting a change, it has to be voted on. And if it's over $500, it goes on the ballot.
Were some of these here the last time we voted?
Yes,
Yes.
Didn't we have 17?
The nonprofits?
yes.
Yeah, that's what these all are, is the,
Give me just 1 second.
I thought this was the list of changes that was given to us.
Some of them went up, so
'Cause-
I'm not sure which ones went up though.
Okay, so. Council on Aging for 2000,
Yeah,
What are they? What are you talking about now?
that one doesn't need to be on there,
Oh, really?
that one is in the budget.
then it shouldn't be on there. It should be already in the budget, it shouldn't be on here.
Sorry, the way that I view this is that the town will vote on the special article, and if it fails,
We
then
take
we
it.
remove it from the budget.
I got you.
So,
Ooh, no, that's not how we did it. that's
the way
not-
I'm doing it since I've been here. And we can go back
That's
and look
news,
at it.
that's news to me.
It's the same thing, Mike. What's the difference?
Because what we had done, and this, I didn't necessarily agree with this in the beginning, is we had taken and put the special articles so that we didn't have 36 of these. Remember, Dave? It took forever.
So then there's a limit, right, before if it's $4.99, right, and $500, so if we coached them, we said, if you come in with $4.99, it's better picture.
Yeah.
We just put it in the budget and it
Yes.
gets passed as part of the general fund budget.
Yes.
If over $500, or if they request more, maybe they're already in the budget from their last request, it was $4.99, but now they want $2,000. That's a change for the next budget, and it has to be approved by the voters according to policy. It's over $500,
Okay.
and that's why I think these were all here.
So are you saying that they have to be here or not?
Well, they can't be in both places. That's what I'm saying. And so I'm not clear on what's where. We have one more meeting to get this part straightened out.
So do you
We
think
probably
that-
ought to wait on that.
Do you think that anywhere between Article 12 and 17 is already incorporated in the general fund number, Article 8?
He said it is.
It is.
Then they shouldn't be on here, cause they're in the budget up on top that they're voting on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because you're actually putting it on twice.
And what would happen is if the article
Failed.
passed, if it failed,
If it failed,
the
then
budget would automatically reduce by that amount because we wouldn't.
no, it wouldn't.
No, you can't, because you made the article up here for the amount of money that you're raising for taxes.
Right.
You can't change that number.
You can't change that number.
Okay.
And that's why,
So are you suggesting that after each one of these, you put not in budget?
not in budget.
And then you have to minus that Article 8, we have to redo Article 8?
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Well,
gonna,
you need to check to make sure that that's true.
because now we may have already adopted a budget number that's
But
gotta
it's
go
not
back
too-
and.
It's not too late.
It's not.
But,
It does the same thing. It's not gonna change the tax rate.
okay, what is the total of Article 12 to 17? You want me to get a calculator?
Oh yeah,
Because that's the amount of money you're talking about.
12 to 17.
3,600.
1,000, 3,068, 5,068, 6,000, 7,158.
It's gonna be pretty good.
7,000,
It's gonna be 20
8,000.
grand.
8.
20 grand. Because the last one's
No.
the biggest one.
Oh, yeah, there you are. You're at 20 grand.
Yeah.
It's 20 grand.
3.
Kelly's gonna have the whole thing here in a minute.
But if they pass, we weren't raising an additional $20,000.
But that is not how it's done. I'm sorry, it's not. Okay, the budget is the budget. These things have to be approved independently, and they may say no. They can say yes, they may say no, and then this gets added to number 1 after the fact.
Article 8.
Yeah, Article 8, yeah, sorry.
The general fund.
Thank you. Yeah, the general fund, after the fact. And that's why Article 12 through 17 must have at the end, not in budget. And
It's
you,
$20,033 exact.
I think I need another, I have a meeting to just research this.
well, we need another meeting because it's got to be corrected. We can't vote on it in that condition. However, we can still take a vote on the special article, what to do with that, if the board so chooses. There is a motion and a second on the floor, and that's,
What did you come up with, 20,030?
Yep.
yes.
33.
33.
20,033.
And those are all, could be, like, if you wanted to describe them all, those are all the nonprofits.
Yes.
I can understand where you're coming from, Brandon. These are probably more than likely all going to pass. Historically, they do. Okay, they're going to pass. So that is what the tax rate's going to end up at. But we can't change that number 8 number. That number 8 number, it represents that, and then these are a separate article for the people to vote on, and you can't add it in again.
Okay,
How's things?
I'll make the change and also review the policy one more time. And then
I'll talk to you about it too, and don't forget, you gotta add that, when we get there, not in budget on the end of these articles, because they will not be in the budget. Now, back to Article 11. We have a motion on the floor to, correct? Motion is on the floor and seconded, correct?
I think we have to make the motion and second it.
Oh, you didn't make the motion yet?
No, we've not.
Oh, okay. Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion. I move to approve Article 11 as written.
I'll second that.
Article 11 as written,
No.
okay.
No, I
With
thought-
the statement on the end of it, not in the budget.
Correct,
Not
correct.
included in the
Okay,
budget.
so, to include, the words not in budget.
Correct. Do I hear a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Second, motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion on Article 11. The article is, shall the voters of the town of Weathersfield approve $100,000 to be placed in the Highway Equipment Acquisition Fund for future highway equipment purchases? Parentheses, not in budget. That is the article.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to put that in the general fund?
I'm all set. I think it's gonna go to the highway,
Yeah.
equipment reserve, so,
Highway Equipment Reserve,
if approved,
so not Highway Equipment Acquisition Reserve Fund.
yes.
Okay, so that, we need to change that? We need
That's
Nope.
No,
acquisition
That's in
fund?
there. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on the article, on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. I didn't hear you vote, Dave, but that's okay.
Because I'm still thinking.
You want more time?
I don't know. I don't think I'd change my mind, that it won't matter. I'm nervous about the future.
The motion carries. Okay, now where are we?
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh,
Yeah, we heard you, there was a fire. You're okay, right? Articles, town manager update.
7 days tonight. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That's one.
It wasn't so happy for you, I heard. For those of you who don't know, Brandon was a little under the weather, not under their bottle, but sick
Yeah.
this weekend.
Sunday, Natalia and I did stay home on New Year's Eve and didn't go to our New Year's plans, but, I feel like I've been the bearer of bad news lately with the holidays. We haven't moved to select board meetings, but we have to move another select
Yeah,
board
the next
meeting
one. Martin Luther King.
because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we need to hold our select board meeting on Tuesday, January 16th. Annual reports are due by this next select board meeting to be entered into the town's annual report. So this is the last opportunity the board has to view the annual report for the select board prior to needing to go into the annual report of the town. We continue to work on FEMA projects. This is another reason why I've been extremely busy over the past couple of weeks. A contract has been signed with Daniels Construction to install a temporary bridge. Easements have been obtained from both the Willies and Duffys. The project has been submitted to FEMA, and we can request reimbursement once the work has been completed and we pay the final invoice. So the project will go through a review at that time, and then the funding will be obligated by the state, and then we can claim our reimbursement. So that's the process for the FEMA reimbursement. The initial work that we completed back in July to bring our damaged roads back to pre-disaster condition, that was submitted to FEMA, and it is currently under review. And that work is around $11,000.
Or as necessary for a second.
The same process, it'll come back to us for one final review, and then to the state to be obligated, and then we can redeem the reimbursement at a 12.5%. Any questions about FEMA?
That was two.
The last thing is, we did hold a meeting with the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union Board Chair, Superintendent, and Weathersfield School Board Chair last week. Select Board Representative of the school board, David Fuller, attended, and Michael Todd also attended. Ability was there. So, that's all I have for tonight.
Mike left for a minute. He said to take over, but I didn't really pick up on that. So. Any questions of Brandon?
No questions.
No.
We can take up, I don't think there are any appointments.
I did have a question on a topic of appointments. Do we have, with the committees and boards, do we have rosters available of members? I know we have the vacancies that we roll and we vote on, people who volunteer. But the two questions I had is, one, are we able to, do you have anything for select board members to identify who the members are of boards and committees currently? We're getting ready to roll into a town meeting. I think it's a great opportunity for us all collectively to encourage people to volunteer for these vacancies. And then the second thought I had was updates from committees and boards. I think last meeting we had an update. Was it conservation or land use? Maybe it was the one before last. But I was just thinking on a more of a quarterly basis, even if they're little short updates to the select board on committee progress, board progress, what kind of communication is taking place within the composition of members. Those are just some thoughts I wanted to share with the group.
I think the rosters are online, on the town
Yes.
homepage, on the page, and updates from committees and boards is something we've already started to move forward with, correct?
It's something we started, but I think we should have a regular schedule for like when,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I leave that up to you.
okay.
So the rosters are current, the ones on the website?
Yes?
Olivia, you can work with Floyd to develop an actual list for the next meeting of appointments and when they expire.
Okay, yep.
Do you want the people that are assigned to them right now?
That would be great, because I just think it's an opportunity, not just as a selectman, but as we go into the town meeting, it's a chance for us, we're gonna be interacting, with everyone, an opportunity to encourage membership.
August reached out to me and asked for a couple of phone numbers too, so I think it's a really good idea if we'd have those little laminated cards revisited
Yes.
with the numbers,
Mhm.
so that whoever's on there.
Do you have everybody's number?
Well, I think we should do that after town meeting, right?
I don't know I don't know.
I
what
would-
anybody- Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it might change. We
Yeah.
don't know what that's gonna look
Probably a
like.
good time, that's probably a good time to do it.
Okay.
I have August's information. He's the only one that's different on here right now that I'm aware of.
Is all that information on the town webpage or something where it could be gathered up really fast? Like suppose somebody wanted, I don't even know what number that they'd want, you know what I mean? Where it's,
Emergency management.
it's more like a,
It should be.
and I mean, when you first got here, you said, gee, should I give out my cell phone number? And you said yes. I said, what did you do that for after a little while?
And then I had to change my number.
So I'm not sure. And
I
I'm not
remember
sure-
that.
I'm not sure we should be giving out Ray's cell phone number either. I just don't, he might, but I don't. And it's not a good, it's not,
Enough people already have that one.
I know, but it's not a good idea to do.
Well, we could give him one that's a town phone he could leave in the truck when he goes home.
One person made one mistake to call the house phone one time, and my wife answered. That did not happen again.
Yeah. So there's,
Oh, boy.
I don't know. Obviously, the number is 674-2626, but I have had people tell me that they had not had the ability to leave a message. That's a problem. So, we can laugh about it. I don't, on my phone, I don't have a message, but the town should, on its,
And the town appears to be up to date on the website for boards and committees. I think we did, yes.
I think the highway has a tape machine, right? If you call down at the garage, you just leave it if you don't pick the
Yeah, it
phone.
doesn't work overly well.
Okay.
No,
But yeah, we do have.
ZBA is not up to date, so you can fix the ZBA page.
You guys can work that out tomorrow.
We don't usually ask that office during. the
Thank you
day.
very much, so, Brandon.
Call the office.
I do appreciate it.
He said he was done though, so we were moving on.
It might be 3 hours or so before you get the message.
Was this under town manager update still?
No,
Or was
that.
this-
no, we're
This
beyond
was
that.
under appointments.
We're already,
You're in other business
yeah, or
Now
whatever.
we're ready to
whatever was
approve
left
the
before the
warrants.
orders.
before the warrants?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it sounded like we were talking about appointments, and that's kind of what we were doing. So let's go ahead with the warrants. Do I hear a motion to approve the warrants?
Motion to approve the warrants dated January 2nd, 2024. General fund payroll, $17,540.83. General fund operating expenses, $51,462.72. Highway fund payroll, $9,806.50. Highway fund operating expense, $20,453.59. Solid waste, payroll, $1,885.11. Solid waste operating expense, $4,294.36. Library payroll, $3,264.52. Regional planning grant operating expense, $1,949.49. What does passive stand for? I should know better. Insurance?
Yes, passive is our insurance, and that's a grant that we received on there,
Okay,
so they do offer grants,
So that's money that we have coming in, those two are?
that's an expense.
which, yeah, I think those are grants that came in and that we're spending.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
So is it for healthcare or other insurance?
other insurance.
The passive is the grants for safety equipment.
Oh, equipment, okay. Operating expense for passive grant, $1,649.98. Grand total payroll, $32,496.96. Grand total operating expense, $79,810.14.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on the warrants?
Yep, I got a couple. Page 1 of this very first page at the bottom. The fifth item up from the bottom, the dry hydrants, are those ours or are those the fire department's?
Those are ours, and we have a dry hydrant annual amount budgeted.
In the general fund?
Correct, and we have 500 this year, so.
Okay.
Is that one hydrant or what happened there?
That's multiple hydrants, we changed the males to females, and, we're not, I think we can authorize.
I think there were 7 or 8 of them that were done, wasn't there?
So it's equipment? How would it be made out to a vendor if it's machinery?
They did the work.
It's dry hydrant maintenance, dry hydrant
No, but
maintenance.
when you're, I thought you were talking about piping. No,
We changed the.
Outlets.
Hydrant, yeah, outlets.
no, I believe that. So is that bill part of equipment as well as labor, or you don't know?
That bill's dry hydrant maintenance,
So it's only labor.
yes.
If you had to buy parts, that's somewhere else.
It's labor and equipment, correct, it's all in one, but the account is dry hydrant maintenance. So we don't have two separate accounts, one for labor and equipment for dry hydrant.
Yeah, this thing would be like ridiculous. It'd be 300 more pages here.
At least one or two.
100?
Okay, did you remove something from here today?
No,
Oh, no, there it is. The attorney fees that are on
What
here.
page?
I'm on page 4 or 5, about middle of the section.
okay,
Are those for the, what are they both for?
I said page 4 of,
Page 4 or 5 of just the general fund.
Where it says tax sale consulting.
Yeah, one's for 1782.97, the other one's for 2365.50. Is that for all of the tax sales for,
sorry, I'm just having trouble finding page 4 or 5. Yes, sir.
28 of 41, Brandon?
Okay, thank you.
oh, you guys do it different, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have, oh, I
Okay,
guess I
so
do.
yeah, general fund tax sale consultants,
Sheehy and Furlan?
correct. Yep, that's all the tax bills.
Really? Cost us that much money? Do we bill them that? So we don't, so
Yeah, so it gets added on to the.
it levels out, okay.
Yep, that we start to bid at.
But one of them says employment, so it's not a tax sale. Has that got to do with legal issues, or you don't know?
That was to do with legal issues.
Okay,
And
are you
if
ready?
want to talk about that further, we can go into executive session with that.
No.
No, I just, okay, all the double pays in here, are those from vacation days that they needed to, that they got paid for that they didn't use, or?
What page?
Page 34 or 41 is the first one.
And can you reference someone?
I got 2 for Mr. Daniels, and 2 for Miss Savage, and 2 for Miss Terrell.
Okay, so I did performance evaluations, and I distributed 4 certificates of achievement and 4 $500 bonuses this year. for a total of $2,000 back.
I don't see me in there.
We got left out,
Was
Dave.
that the same with
We
Ray?
skipped over. All we do for him, all of the bonuses
So I
we
didn't
give
have to bring
him.
you up later.
That just went in this year and it did not come out that year.
What he said or what I said?
But that was all I had for questions on this one. Oh, no, I got another question. I think I saw it on the beginning. Parks and Rec. Is the porta potty they have over there
Yes,
$185? Do we pay that monthly?
we do.
That sounds about right. That's
Are
actually
you
cheap.
joking me?
I am
It's,
not-
it's 110 at the transfer station, and that one's a handicap, so it's a little bit more.
And where does the money come from Parks and Rec to pay for that?
The Hoisington Field Fund, I believe, I might be mistaken.
Do we put money in that fund every year to pay for this?
We do.
Where is that?
Where, I was gonna say, where do we see that?
That's coming from, I believe, the town parks budget line item. Can you tell me the page number? I'm sorry.
Of that I'm on?
Yes.
I'm on page 25 of 41.
What line?
It is,
Town parks, porta potties.
About
About the
five down,
fifth one
five, six
down,
down.
yep. Schoolhouse 185.
So it's budgeted for in the town parks annual budget.
okay.
It's been going on since before I got here.
And who pays the electricity over there that goes around the Veterans Memorial?
We do. The town.
We
just
pay
need,
for that?
we just need your address. We want the,
Well, the village kind of, a couple of years ago, the village came to us and they wanted to dissolve. Anne Marie was part of that because
Yep.
they were running expenses, and then what happened was the houses that were in village had to pay an additional tax to do those kinds of things, electricity, even though it was small. And they also had to work with the church to do that too, because I think the church may own the meter or something. There was something going on there.
And it
Well,
also
I can-
included streetlights.
Yeah.
I can tell you a little more about that,
Yeah.
to be a fact.
Yep.
The electricity is hooked into the meter to the church because they couldn't hook it into anything else. But there was something back when Mr. Morris was here as town manager, that he signed an agreement that the town would pay $200 a year for the electricity for the park, for the lights. Do we do that?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
I've never seen it on here, that's why I was curious. I didn't know if we paid it once a year or how that worked.
But the
the shell
village,
company.
but the village kind of thought that they were, I mean, it wasn't very active, the village trustees, and I don't know where the village starts and stops in regard to houses, or
Yeah.
how that,
It's basically the footprint of the streetlights on all, like Main Street, Quarry Road, 106.
Yep.
It's the streetlights is where the village stops.
but, so do we do that in Ascutney too? Do we pay for any lights and so forth, do you think? No? Just that one?
So even though that's Veterans Memorial Park, the Veterans Memorial doesn't pay for any of that?
Well, the Veterans Memorial is also a town
Oh, we own that too?
committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And actually, we went to great length to actually, yeah, but we actually went to great length to put a quitclaim deed in there for that land. So that the part, it
Well,
wasn't,
the king wanted it.
it was very strange.
It was.
And this board actually appoints the Veterans Memorial Committee annually.
Oh, that's annually?
I don't know, does it,
Okay.
oh, you don't, oh, you think it's, really? I didn't know how that
I
worked.
believe it's an annual appointment, let me just verify.
I just think once you get on there, you kind of.
Well, we're moving into a different section here, and we're on the warrants. Is there any further discussion on the warrants, the warrant numbers? Thank you, Kelly, for being such a hawk on that. No, I do appreciate it, I really do. It's a lot, and you're always on top of it. Any further discussion on the warrants? Hearing none, all in favor of the warrants signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any other business? I need a motion to move the meeting on 1/15, which is Martin Luther King Day, to 1/16, that is Tuesday, at 6:30. Do I hear that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to move the 1:15 meeting to 1/16 in honor of Martin Luther King Day. All those in favor of any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, the ayes have it. Seeing as how there were no no's and no abstentions. Future agenda items, you all set, Brendan?
Yes, I'm all set.
You gotta lock down the warrant, I mean, the warnings, because,
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
because that's the last, I think.
Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
might change the budget. It might decrease,
by 20,000.
Just a little bit.
it might, I just have to review the policy.
I'm gonna have to kick you.
Well, no, I think,
Maybe it's right, maybe it's not? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Aye.
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 A second.
I'll second.
Hey, don't leave.
No second.